What is up, guys? Welcome back to the Zach and Pat Show. I'm Zach.
I'm Pat.
This is the show about manhood, fatherhood, entrepreneurship, and the mentality it takes to be successful at those things. And we'll probably sprinkle in some helpful real estate advice too, because that's what Pat and I do. You know, guys, life can be tough. We can go through some things and struggle at times, but this is the show to let you know that you're not alone. So if you're someone out there going through any of these things, this is the show for you. All right, guys, let's talk about something we all need. High quality, comfortable, stylish clothing that actually holds up in real life. Whether you're grinding at work, hitting the gym, or just hanging out, the Normal brand has you covered. I've been rocking their gear, and let me tell you, it's not your average clothing line. They've nailed it perfect with the perfect blend of durability, comfort, style, whether it's a go-to rugged Henley, a hoodie, a button-down that doesn't make you feel like a stiff, the Normal brand is where it's at. The best part is you can support the show while upgrading your wardrobe. Just hit the link in the description below. Check out their collection. Trust me, once you try it, you'll wonder why you didn't do it sooner. The Normal brand. Made for real life, built to last. Now go check them out.
Shout out to our friends over at Captain Beard Co. Guys, if you are looking for beard care products, shampoo, conditioner, body wash, give Captain Beard Co. a try. They have this unbelievable beard butter, balm, oils, and then it smells amazing. Ladies, if you're looking for something for your men as a gift to help with their grooming, check them out. Also, if you guys are looking to just set the mood one night, candles, unbelievably smelling candles, made with all natural ingredients here locally to St. Louis. Give them a shot. Also, while you're there, use the promo code Zach and Pat for 10% off your purchase.
Hey there, guys. I really appreciate you checking out the Zach and Pat Show. If you can obviously tell, we are a newer podcast, but one way we're really trying to grow the show is trying to get up the amount of subscribers we have. So, you know, if you're watching the show and you're getting something out of it, we'd really appreciate it if you could click that subscribe button. That would help us out a ton. Please click that button. And now back to the show. We have a very special guest in studio today. He is the owner of the Avery injury law firm, the great and powerful Jim Avery. Welcome to the show.
Welcome. Yeah. I don't know about great or powerful, but hey, here I am.
Yeah. Well, you're here, man.
Yes.
Well, Jim, you know, for the people out there that don't know you, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, I'm a St. Louis resident. You know, everybody wants to know, so I'll just tell you I went to Bayless.
Yeah. All right.
You know, small school in the Afton area. Graduated a long time ago. Seems like it was a couple years ago, but you know, it was like 30 years ago. So I graduated in 89, joined the Marine Corps from there, got out of the Marine Corps, you know, went to college, that kind of route. I was elected as a state representative and served 6 years in the Missouri House of Representatives. Then I continued in state government in different roles. And then I went to law school. I decided, hey, you know, I need to decide how I'm going to continue in life. So I went to law school part-time. I did it in 3.5 years, which is the fastest you can do it part-time. It's 3 years normally if you go full-time. So I just buckled down. I was like, hey, I'm not getting any younger. I got to hurry up and do this. So I did it in 3.5 years.
So how old were you when you?
Well, I've been a lawyer for 7 years. So law school. So probably 10.5 years ago.
Okay.
That's when I started. And I started my own firm in 2020, right in the middle of COVID. Which some people would think would be stupid, but it was actually the perfect time for me to start. So I worked for a firm that advertises on TV, and I was bringing in 40 to 50% of their cases every month. And I said, hey, guys, you want to make me a partner? And they laughed at me and told me to go start my own firm. So
that's what you did.
Yeah, I said, okay, see you later. Actually, I'd already been looking at buildings. So I found a small place in Crestwood. It was a small office. It had like 5 spots, I guess you'd call it, 5 little offices within the office. And within the year, I was already outgrown that, was in another space. Within another year of that, I was in a 3rd office in the same building. And I bought a building in Sunset Hills and moved 2 years ago. We've been in this building. It's a lot bigger, a lot better, nicer space.
It's a pretty cool space.
Yeah, it's a cool space. It's decorated nice. It's modern. It's very comfortable, though. It's not, you know, stuffy. I'm not a very formal person. Wear jeans and a t-shirt mostly not an Avery injury law shirt.
Yeah.
I didn't know we were being videoed today. So I guess it's good for advertising that I wore an Avery injury law shirt. But so really I wanted to do things differently than I had done at my old firm. You know, the place that I was at wasn't as personal. And that really kind of sat heavy with me. The people that ran that other firm weren't very friendly to their employees. And it was just weird. Like, wasn't personal, wasn't really me. So, one of the rules at my firm is if you're the first one in, you can go to your desk. But if you're the second one in, you got to go say hi to the other person. If you're the third one, you got to say hi to the other two people. So I'm not usually the first one there.
Yeah.
I'm usually one of the last ones. So I have to go and say hi to everybody. I think it's important to say hi and acknowledge everybody. We're all part of a team. I don't usually say that people work for me. I say they work with me. And we have a team environment. I would say it's a team more than it is me being the owner of the law firm.
That's awesome.
I mean, I do own it, but I'm a leader, not an owner.
Huh.
So big difference.
Sure. Well, and so how long were you in the military for?
Well, I retired after 22 and a half years out of the military. So I served in the Marine Corps for 4.5 years. I actually got sent home. My mom had MS and I only had a little sister. So my mom needed me to come home. So the Marine Corps sent me home and I got a hardship discharge. So I was discharged from the Marine Corps honorably. And I went to college. I went to the University of Missouri, St. Louis, where I was twice elected as the student body president. I guess I always kind of liked to be in politics.
Yeah.
It started there. And so when I was done with UMSL, I went into the Missouri House. That's kind of how that unfolded.
Oh, so you went right from college to...
Yeah, but I mean, when I went to college, I was 4.5 years older than everybody else, which seems ancient. I was kind of an old man.
Time,
yeah, I was kind of an old man in college,
Sure.
but, for traditional students that had, were 18, I was like 22, 23. And then served in the House. I think I was like 30 or 32 when I got elected. So I was pretty young.
Wow.
So
That's crazy.
did 6 years in the legislature, but in the military, before I was elected, or maybe when I was first elected, I joined the Missouri National Guard. So after 9/11, I felt compelled to go back to serve. So it was within a year of 9/11, the war kind of ramped up, and I thought, I really feel like I need to serve my country as well. So I joined the Missouri National Guard, and almost immediately I was deployed to Iraq. I was with a combat engineer unit, and our job in Iraq was to drive around and look for roadside bombs. So when I was in the Marine Corps, my job was less dangerous. I did aviation electronics on C-130s.
Okay.
We served in the Somalia war there. So then I had Iraq with the Missouri National Guard. I was enlisted. I don't know if you guys know the difference between being an officer and being an enlisted, but an officer is usually somebody with a college degree. Enlisted is a worker. So there's supervisors and workers. And I did Iraq, and then when I came home from Iraq, I decided I need to go to officer candidate school. So I went to officer candidate school at the Alabama Military Academy. And I actually was there at the same time with somebody that you probably have heard of before, Tulsi Gabbard.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Tulsi Gabbard and I were both state representatives that were at officer candidate school at the same time.
Wow.
So
Very cool.
yeah, I know Tulsi. We used to talk on Facebook until about 1.5 years ago. I haven't really gotten any messages responded to since then.
She's a little busy, I guess.
She's a little busy. Her clearances probably don't even let her have Facebook anymore. She has it, but
someone else is probably running it for her.
yeah, I mean, but up until about 1.5 years ago, if I'd message her, like, hey, I'm going to Hawaii, she'd be like, hey, go check this place out. I'm not there, but, go to this restaurant. So it was kind of unique that we were both state representatives. It's weird to have one, but we had two there at the same time. She was a state rep from Hawaii.
Oh, that's really cool.
So, and then I went to, was deployed to Afghanistan as well. So Iraq was like 2002, 2003, and Afghanistan was about 2009, 2010, I think. I'm not a great historian, so within a year or so of those are the right dates. But yeah.
Wow.
So
doing something similar.
yeah, in Iraq we looked for bombs. We literally just drove down the road.
How do you do that?
Well, you drive down a road and you look for disturbed earth. So if the earth is dry, like on the shoulders, the ground, the dirt, and all of a sudden there's like a spot where it's darker, that means the dirt's been turned over, probably a bomb in there. Started out like that. Then they'd put them in cardboard boxes. You'd see a cardboard box and all of a sudden 2 wires going out, off the side of the road, maybe for half a mile. So we would just drive around and look for them. We had a vehicle that had a mechanical arm on it. It was called a Buffalo, and the Buffalo would pick it up. It was in one of the Transformer movies, the one with an arm.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
We'd pick up the bombs, and at first we would try to separate the wires from it, but then they started being remote. So the arm was kind of useless. It would get blown off sometimes. So we just drove down and we'd look for things that didn't look right, just anything different. Sometimes they'd stack rocks up. That would tell us there'd be a bomb. Sometimes there'd be 15 bombs in a row, just daisy chained is what they called it. Daisy chained together. You'd have 15 bombs.
So if one goes off.
We got lucky. So when I went to Iraq, nobody in my unit got killed. When my unit went back, because when I became an officer, I went to a different unit. They went back and they did lose a couple guys. And then when we were in Afghanistan, we lost 4 guys in our unit, or units that were attached to us. Afghanistan was a totally different monster.
Really?
Yeah, the terrain's different. They've been fighting wars for 100 years. Literally, these dudes could like put a rifle on a rock, and they know if they put the rifle in this rock and point it down there, it's going to hit at this X down there.
Wow.
They were just so used to fighting there. So I'm glad we're out of there.
So like Iraq's more deserty?
Deserty, and flat, mostly flat.
Afghanistan's mountainy.
Very mountainous. Yeah, very mountainous. So sometimes there'd be snow. In the snow, pretty much it was quiet. Nothing happened. We wouldn't go out very much. We still had to get convoys to get supplies here and there, but they would kind of go in hibernation. Mm. But in Iraq, it was just 12 months nonstop, and it was getting worse and worse and worse, like more advanced.
So you were in the so like kind of like the Hurt Locker type stuff?
Yeah. So that movie, when I first saw it, the first like 10 minutes were intense, and I was like, whoa, it brought me kind of back there. And then the rest of the movie sucked. It was stupid. Guys driving out on their own on a Humvee. I'm like, this is some stupid
movie
stuff,
shit.
Yeah, some stupid shit. I'm like, this is.
Oh, you can curse. Yeah.
Yeah. I can't even watch this. This is stupid. First 10 minutes, though, I was like, oh man, kill that kid with the phone in his hand, because he's the guy that's going to detonate it.
I just saw one the other day. Warfare was a new one that just came out, and it was basically it was pretty neat. It was about a SEAL team that got trapped. They got pinned down in a location. I forget where it was. I think it might have been in Afghanistan, and but it was like in real time. So like the whole length of the movie was from start to finish how long that actually took place.
Right. So if it's a 2-hour movie, it was a 2-hour segment.
Yeah.
Like nonstop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was intense. It was pretty intense.
So most days in Iraq were not funny. Kind of, I'll tell you these 2 little funny things, and then we can do something else. But so one would be the first, like when we first got there, everybody was like, all right, man, it's your turn to go out and get the bomb. About halfway through, you're bored. It's normal. You're like, hey man, fuck you. It's my turn. I'm going to go. Like, you guys, no, I want the excitement. And then the last like month, you're like, hey dude, it's your turn again. Yeah. Like I made it. We're going home. Like, it's your turn, dude. No, it's your turn. No, I got it 2 days ago. It's your turn.
Paper, scissors.
Right. So that was kind of it. But there was one day in particular that was like the worst day. Nothing bad happened, but it was the scariest day for us, for me at least, in Iraq. We were driving down a road that was closed. We weren't supposed to be on it. It was black is what they called it. But we needed to go down the road. I think we were lost, but whatever. Nobody will admit that in our leadership. But I don't think we were supposed to be on it, but they said we were supposed to be on it. But I know we weren't supposed to be on it. So we're driving down the road. There's a Bradley fighting vehicle, which is kind of a small tank. It was flipped upside down and smoldering. And I was like, wow. And I was a gunner. So I was one of the guys up top. And I was like, this is really effed up. And I was in the back. So I was the last dude. And I was like, this is a bad deal. And actually, I wasn't on top. That vehicle was out of service that day. So I was in the back of a Humvee. Oh, boy. So like a pickup truck Humvee.
You're like,
I had a saw. I carried an M249 machine gun. And I had a duffel bag. And I carried all the ammunition I had that day with me. Because I thought, this isn't normal. Like, we're not normally in the back of a Humvee, but today we are. So we're rear security. And I had another buddy that had just an M16. So I was the machine gunner.
Is it mounted?
No, it's not mounted. Yeah, just held it. And it had a bipod if I needed it. But so anyway, we're in the back of this thing. I have all the ammo I have. So I have like, I don't know, 1,000, 1,500 rounds with me. Big, heavy duffel bag full of ammo. Anyway, we're driving. So I'm seeing everything from the back. And I'm like, dude, what is going on up there? Like, why are we going down this road? So we go a little further. There's another Bradley fighting vehicle smoldering. And I'm like, this isn't like, it wasn't on fire yesterday. It was on fire sometime today. you know?
Yeah, 'cause it's still smoldering.
And I was like, this sucks. And people are like in it, coming out of it. Like we call them Hajis.
Yeah.
That's what we called all the Iraqis, Hajis. So there's like Hajis coming out of this fucking Bradley that's smoldering. And I was like, dude, and I have no radio. Like we don't even have a radio to talk to the people in our truck.
What?
So we're just like communicating like, hey, what the fuck is this?
Like,
you know?
Yeah,
Yeah, yelling
windows
forward
down.
to the thing. They're like, I don't know, it's cool. I'm like, no, this isn't cool. So anyway, we get turned around. We're on the street that's like not big enough for our vehicles to go down. So we made a U-turn and we ended up in the main part of the city. It was called Mahmudiya. We called it Bombadilla because the base there got bombed every night. So if you spent the night there, which we did a few times, you would always like get woken up by artillery getting shot into the base. You had to go to the bathroom with your Kevlar and your body armor on.
Jeez.
So anyway, we're in downtown Mahmudiya and everybody's looking at us like, what in the fuck are you people doing here? Like literally it's crowded. It's like a Sunday or, you know, what we would call a Sunday. I don't remember what day of the week it was, but it was packed and there's shops on both sides. So we're driving down a 2-lane street, taking up the whole street. Cars are moving out of the way, getting up on the sidewalks. Everybody's looking at us, including, I'll never forget, there was a police officer and he was directing traffic and he was looking at us like, what are you guys doing here? You're not supposed to be here. This is not for you to be here. And I kept telling my buddy that was with me in the back, his name's Austin Conyers. I was like, all right, Austin, if the shit hits the fan, we get separated, we're going to go into this building and we're just going to kill everybody in the building. And then we're going to face our guns outward and we're going to kill everybody that comes in there to get us. And as we moved along, we just kept making, this is the new fort. This is the new fort. And it took probably 45 minutes to go down this road that was probably half a mile long. It was bad.
You guys are just.
I mean, we could have just, there were people everywhere. We could have gotten grabbed and just pulled out of our vehicle. So anyway, I don't think anybody expected us to be there. If they would have, we probably would have gotten attacked. And looking back on it, you know, 20 years later, whatever, however long it's been, probably if we were going to get attacked, everybody would have left, you know?
Yeah.
But it was scary. And then when we got to the end of it, I was like, oh, we got back to base and everybody's like, dude, what was that place? Like nobody's ever been
Should
there.
not have been there.
Shouldn't have been down that road. The road was closed anyway. We found out later it was black, meaning we should not have been there. So anyway, it was a pretty scary day. Nothing happened, but everybody was on heightened alert. You know, we were ready to go. You know, I was ready to go. You know, I had ammo lined up in my truck out of the bag, ready to go.
Yeah.
So I can make a change if I needed to. We had these drums that we would use. So I was like, all right, let's make this happen. So it was pretty crazy. It was a pretty intense day, but nothing bad happened. All the stuff got blown up. They weren't real good. The Iraqis weren't, or whoever. They weren't real good about blowing stuff up on us. It would always blow up before we got there or after we got past it. So like bridges blew up in front of us. We never got hit. We just got lucky. So I think being there early was beneficial because they weren't real good. They got better. Yeah.
Scary.
Our vehicles got blown up a few times, but nobody ever got hurt. So
that's good.
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. So anyway, 3-time combat veteran. Afghanistan, I was more of a leadership role. So I was mostly in the rear, like at the base.
Okay.
I didn't leave the base, but maybe for 2 days as we traveled, as we moved. Some people got to take a helicopter. I volunteered to go by vehicle.
Yeah.
So I wanted to get out.
Yeah.
So
go see the.
yeah, I wanted a little more combat action, but nothing happened on our drive. So it's like it was an adventure though.
So you went to Iraq, Afghanistan. What was the
Somalia, Iraq, and Afghanistan.
Somalia,
Yeah.
I forgot
What was,
that one.
what was Somalia like? I mean, you see the like
Black Hawk Down.
Yeah.
So we were mostly in Kenya. We would fly in and out to Somalia to drop off fuel. Kenya was a dump.
Yeah.
You could tell it used to be owned by Great Britain because it had stoplights and street lights that used to work. The metal was there, but they had no wiring in them. Somalia was just like people would be walking around and they'd stop and take a dump, you know,
Just poor and dirty.
dirty, poor people. Kind of like the movie,
Mm-hmm.
you know, I thought the Black Hawk Down was actually a pretty well done movie of war movies.
Yeah.
I thought it was pretty accurate. It reminded me of what it looked like. Again, I've never really ventured out into the town of Mogadishu or anything like that. We just dropped stuff off, but I felt like that was a good depiction of what that place was like. I I'm sure it was more intense than the movie could depict, but
Mm.
I felt like it was pretty accurate.
Yeah, they just came out with a recent documentary about that not too long ago, I think. It was a
I
couple
watched
months.
it. Yeah. I
Pretty
watched
good?
it. Yeah, it was pretty good.
Yeah.
It was interesting to hear both sides.
Okay.
You know,
was
the
it?
Somalian
It's-
side.
Yeah.
What
It's on Netflix.
It's on Netflix?
I don't remember what it was called.
I can't either.
The Real Black Hawk Down or something
yeah,
like
I
that.
think, you know what? I think I did see that. Actually.
Yeah. But it was about the real story and about some of the players that were involved on both sides.
I think it's like 3 episodes.
Yeah.
Something like that. It's not very long.
No, it was interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. I watched it with my wife and I said, it's pretty cool to, you know, hear their side of the story
Yeah, I love a good doc.
and what a disaster it was. You know, it was a total
Fuck up.
total shit show.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, shit, you've been a soldier, a politician, you're an attorney, entrepreneur. How do you know when it's time to either evolve or push forward?
Well, I always feel like you're always pushing forward. You know, everything I do, business, fun things I do for fun, I'm always trying to do the next thing, especially in business. If you're not evolving, you're dying, you know? So I'm always trying to do stuff with AI. My staff gets super pissed and push back on me like, oh no, you're changing things. And I'm like, well, guess what? We need to change.
The world's changing.
Yeah, if we don't change, we're stagnant. And when you're stagnant, you're not growing. So, you know, I feel like we're always growing, not as quickly as I'd like. Sometimes that's probably a good thing. Sometimes it's probably not a good thing. But I feel like you always have to do something to keep moving forward. Otherwise, you're never going to grow. And if you're not growing, I always tell people, if you're not growing, you're dying. And I kind of believe that.
Yeah. Well, like Pat said, combat vet, you're a pilot as well, right?
Yeah, I fly airplanes. So
When did that?
yeah. So I think it's 4 years ago, 3.5, 4 years ago, a friend of mine took me up. He actually asked me like, hey, do you want to go? He was visiting from out of town. He's like, hey, you want to go for a flight in my plane? And I was like, where are we going? He's like, just fly around the area. I said, that sounds really stupid and lame.
Yeah.
Like fly around. Like, what do I want to fly around St. Louis for? That sounds really boring. And we did it. And I was like, wow, I need an airplane. This is so awesome.
I need one.
Yeah, he had a jet. I was like, dude, this is so awesome. Like, wow, how amazing is this? And then when I realized all the tax benefits that go along with owning an airplane, I mean,
Oh, really?
with bonus depreciation that Trump had, you know, you go buy an $825,000 plane, you have an $825,000 tax write-off, even though you're not paying for all of it up front. You know, you put 20% down and you get an $825,000 tax write-off, plus all my lessons were a write-off, my fuel was a write-off, all of it.
Huh.
So it's all business related because I needed that for my business. And having an airplane as a lawyer is awesome.
Yeah.
Somebody calls me in Poplar Bluff and they're like, hey, I got hit by a semi truck. And I'm like, really sorry to hear that. What's your address? I can be there. And I look it up on my phone to see how long it'll take for me to be there. I can be there in 2 hours. What's your address? 2 hours. You know, the other law firm that advertises on TV, they said they can't be here till tomorrow. Well, I have an airplane. I'll be there in 2 hours. So I go there, meet with them, sign them up as a client. They call the other people and tell them, hey, you don't need to come here tomorrow. I already hired this guy, Jim Avery.
Wow.
So there's a lot of benefits that way of having having an airplane as well. So if it's far, I can be there, you know, if anywhere in Missouri, I can be there in an hour and a half.
That's
in all
really
reality,
cool.
Kansas City, flying west is always slower than flying east because of the headwinds. So it's very rare. Sometimes you get tailwinds going both ways, but that's rare. So it's about an hour and 20 to hour and 30, depending on the winds. They were really bad the last time I went there. So it took like an hour and 35, but it took an hour to get home. So I started flying 4 years ago or 3.5 years ago. And it's the most peaceful thing you could ever do. I love flying. It's a ton of fun. Remember how you felt when you became 16 and you got your driver's license?
Hell yeah.
Now these kids nowadays, they're not in a rush to get their license.
Yeah,
I don't
weird.
get it.
It's
It's
so
so
weird.
weird.
Oh man, I was chomping at the
Yeah,
bit.
we all took our driver's test as close
On
to
our
our
birthday.
16th
Yeah.
birthday, if not on our birthday.
Right.
Yeah.
Remember how free you felt?
Oh, it was
God.
amazing.
I remember the first time I pulled like out of my parents' subdivision, and like for the first time, I windows down, stereo all the way up, like listening to the music that I wanted to listen
Yeah,
to.
and you were on
know?
your own, right?
Oh yeah, by myself.
So imagine the entire country
Yeah.
being that way. Like literally, I could say, hey, let's go to lunch in Nashville. We could be in Nashville in an hour and 20 minutes. You know,
That'd be
it's
awesome.
just, so, you know, if we go on trips, like I've traveled all over the country. I've flown from Sacramento before to St. Louis, all in one deal. Got to stop for
That's
fuel.
when you got your plane, right?
Both times. I've had 2 planes. One of them I crashed. That's a whole nother story.
I want to hear that.
Yeah, we'll tell that one real quick. But so both planes I've gotten from the Sacramento airport, flown it home. I've been to New York or New Jersey, Phoenix, Florida a handful of times, DC 2 or 3 times I've flown out there. So I've been to Minnesota a number of times, just been all over the country, and anywhere kind of in between I've been to. So it's great. It's the only time where my phone doesn't ring. So it's peaceful for me. I get a break from the world.
That's what this is for us.
Yeah, it's a break from the world. My phone doesn't ring. Nobody can reach me. I have a nice excuse. Sorry, I was flying.
Yeah, 100%.
So once I get above 3,000 feet, my phone doesn't work, and it's great. So the crash happened in October of 2023. My wife.
Yeah, it was right before Todd bought his house.
Yeah, my wife's a professional bodybuilder, and she had a show to go to in Omaha, Nebraska. So we flew to Omaha. And on the way home, it was a Sunday. I'll never forget. We get in the plane. It was really cold. Took a while for the plane to warm up. That should have been an indication to me that something was wrong because one of my cylinders wasn't warming up quite like the other. But I thought, it's not getting as much wind because it's in the back part of the engine. So we take off, and no shit, 20 seconds after we
Just you
take
and
off.
your wife in the car?
Just
Or
in the plane, yeah.
Plane. Sorry.
We take off, and my wife says, "Babe, you're such a good pilot." And I said, "Why? Because I push buttons or I talk on the radio?" She's like, "Yeah, both of those things." I was like, "Thanks." I don't think I'm a great pilot. 20 minutes later, we're going to find out how great of a pilot I was. So we were at 11,000 feet. We were just coming out of the clouds. I had to get out of the clouds because I was picking up some ice on my plane. And ice and planes don't mix. Doesn't matter how big the plane is. So we get above the ice, and it was beautiful. It was sunny. Took a picture. I thought I took a picture. Immediately upon taking the picture, my plane vibrated. And I was like, oh, and I looked at my wife, and she said, "That doesn't feel right." And I'm like, yeah, it's not right. Something's wrong. But, it's cool. Plane's still going. My plane has a parachute, by the way.
Okay.
So my plane has its own parachute. So if our engine goes out, I can reach up and pull a handle. A rocket shoots out the back, and a parachute opens up, and we land safely. So I knew that was there. So I call air traffic control, and I say, "Hey, I'm having a problem." They're like, "All right, go back to Omaha." And I was like, "All right, I'll start going back to Omaha." As soon as I started heading back,
You whip a U-turn, basically?
I made a U-turn, and my gauges all went crazy. Like all my avionics started freaking out. I found out later it's because the vibration of the engine kind of shook a lot of the sensors. So like I didn't trust any instrument I had at this point, and I'm flying instrument because I'm in the clouds now descending. So I tell air traffic control, "Hey, I need to go to the nearest airport." Well, it was Red Oak, Iowa. Never forget the name of that airport. So he's like, "All right, you're clear direct to the Red Oak airport." I'm like, "All right." So I have an iPad, and it's got an app called ForeFlight. You can find out all the information you need. So I'm trying to figure out what the weather is, what are the runways. Meanwhile, ATC's like, what approach do you want to do? Like what runway? And I said, "Hey, listen, I'm task saturated. I'm busy. I'm flying my plane. It's not running right. I'm trying to find this stuff on this iPad. Can you just help me out and tell me what's my best option? Like what's the best runway?" So the guy gives me a runway, and he's reading me all this other stuff while I'm still trying to find out like how high do I need to be, this important information. So I don't pay attention to what he's reading me. Well, what he was reading me is called NOTAMs, Notice to Airmen, which is all the stuff you need to know, but not the stuff I needed to know. Okay. So anyway, long story short, as I'm coming in, I'm telling my wife like, "Hey, I can see it on my computer where the runway is. It tells me it's right over here. As we come out of the clouds, look over in this direction for this runway." We break through the clouds. I tell ATC, "Hey, good news. We're going to make the runway. I don't need to use the parachute." And he said, "Well, be advised that runway's closed." And I was like, "Wait, this guy just told me that the fucking runway he told me to land on is closed?" And I have a replay button on my radio. So I hit the replay, and I'm like, "All right, he told me that runway's closed." And I'm looking at it. There's no vehicles on it. It's not dug up. So it's still there. It might have some stuff on it, but I'm landing on it because I don't even know where the other runway is at this point. And I don't know if I'm going to make it to the other runway. So anyway, I tell him, "Hey, I'm in an emergency landing. You can land anywhere you want. Anywhere." I said, "Hey, I'm landing on the closed runway." He's like, "All right." So we come in, we're fast because you don't want to be slow because you missed the runway. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, "Hey, I'll be a little fast." So we're coming in, and I start losing power, but We hit kind of hard and we bounced up in the air, which is fine. And I just held back on my stick to keep the plane up. We get on the ground. There's a barricade 500 feet in front of me, and I'm going, 100 miles an hour. But 30 feet on either side, it's open. So I'm like, hey, I'll just go around it. I can see it. I can make that. So I go around the barricade, and as I do, boom, I don't know what happens, but we're in the dirt. Like all of a sudden we're in the grass. And I fight to get the plane back on the runway, dodge another set of barricades, and we stop. I'm like, wow. And I'm like, you all right? She's like, yeah, I'm fine. Are you okay? I'm like, yeah, I'm okay. Everything's shaking. My arms are shaking. My legs are shaking. I smell fuel. I go to get out of my plane and I look, my wing's gone. I'm like, holy shit, where'd my wing go? I'm like, what happened? Did I hit something in the air and my wing got knocked off? She's like, maybe you hit something on the ground. I'm like, I didn't see anything. Well, there was a bobcat on the ground, a machine, not an animal. That's what I hit when I dodged that barricade. It was parked right next to the runway. So it took the wing off my plane. Yeah, it took the wing off my plane. And I was like, hey, would you fly with me again? Or would you get in a small plane? I was going to try to have a buddy come pick us up because we're in the middle of nowhere. I don't even know how I'm going to get home at this point. So anyway, long story short, she's like, yes, I'd totally fly with you again. You're a great pilot. You were nervous though. And I said, how do you know I was nervous? She's like, your hand was shaking. I said, which one? The one I push buttons with or the one I talked to on the radio? And she said, yeah. So anyway, I did think immediately afterwards, I am a much better pilot. I just did one of the hardest things you can do, have an emergency landing, emergency situation with an engine issue, and get the plane on the ground safely. I didn't pull the parachute. I landed it. We're safe. Nobody was hurt. My plane was totaled. That kind of sucked. I got investigated by the NTSB and the FAA. No issues, no restrictions. I had to do a 3-hour online course and fly with an instructor, which I wanted to do anyway. Your nerves are a little
shot
after having an emergency landing. And for the first probably 10 hours of flying afterwards, any bump or turbulence, I was like, oh, shit. Yeah. I mean, it's good now. So, yeah, anyway, I've crashed a plane. Yeah.
What's the process like to get your pilot's license?
So there's a minimum of 30 or 40 hours. Took me about 100 hours because I switched from a Cessna to my plane. Once I got it, I took instructions in my own plane. It's really hard actually to get your pilot's license, but the even harder part is getting your instrument rating. So being a private pilot, you're still learning even after you're a private pilot. So we flew to Colorado right after I got my license. She didn't know I just got my license. We flew to Denver, and I went to see a doctor out there. And when we landed, she's like, "Wow, she said, you're a really good pilot." Yeah. And I said, "Oh, I just got my license a week ago." And she's like, "Seriously?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I got my license a week ago." But you're really trained at that point.
Sure.
You can fly anywhere in the country. I've landed at the Las Vegas airport before, the same one you would go to if you went to Vegas. Landed at a couple other bigger airports. But it's cool. The training for your instrument is really hard. The instrument training is 2 or 3 times harder than just being a private pilot. There's so much more to it, and you're only using your instruments to fly, which is fine. I mean, I'm totally comfortable with it now. If you flew with me, you would be like, wow, this dude, don't say it though, because you might jinx me. But you'd be like, this dude's a really good pilot. I have all the avionics that a commercial plane has. I probably have more than some airplanes. My plane's really advanced. I'm getting a new plane this fall. Same plane I have now, but the newer version, it'll actually land itself. So if I die, my wife pushes a button. It calls out to air traffic control to let them know there's an emergency. The plane will take the data and it'll land at the nearest, safest airport based off of weather and wind conditions. It'll land, it'll stop, and it'll turn itself off.
What?
Yeah. Pretty cool plane. It's a Cirrus.
That's crazy.
So plug out to Cirrus Aviation if you need a plane.
He was showing us pictures of it. It's a pretty badass plane.
Yeah, it's a pretty cool plane. It goes about 200 miles an hour. So it's not the fastest thing, but it's also not super slow.
4-seater? Is that what
it'll hold 5, but realistically, 5 adults are never getting in there. The 3 of us could fly. The 3 of us and my wife, I don't know, maybe with half a tank of fuel.
Okay.
So I've flown with 4 adults. That's with half a tank of fuel. 2 small women, my wife and her coach. They're both 120 pounds.
Yeah.
And then the husband of her coach, who's a smaller guy too. So I don't know about us 3 and another person getting in the plane, unless it's a midget or a child. Yeah. Then we'd be all right. Otherwise, I don't know about that. But flying is it's my favorite thing to do. Like I'd fly 7 days a week. You know, if I wasn't a lawyer, I'd be a pilot.
Wow.
Yeah. It's not a job. It's fun. I fly a lot for a regular pilot. I fly about 150 hours a year. Most private pilots are 75 to 100 hours a year.
Wow. So you're always up there.
A lot. Yeah.
That's
A
awesome.
lot. There's some months though where I haven't flown like at all. And I'm like, oh shit. Like usually in the
Getting an
winter,
itch.
I get my plane, the annual inspection done in the winter time. So like December, I'm usually traveling anyway. So I try to get my inspection done then.
Well, what's something that you've learned about yourself as flying versus being here on the ground, like us normal folk?
I don't know that I've really learned anything about myself. Like, so I grew up super poor. I was homeless when I was 17. I lived in my car. I had different friends that took me in. The Marine Corps saved me, like it gave me a place to go, and it made me the person I am, like for sure. 100% it's the Marine Corps over any other branch. I've always known that if I want to do something, I can do it, you know? Probably the Marine Corps gave me, it gives every Marine a self-confidence that they shouldn't really have, but they do. That's why a lot of Marines get their asses kicked. But it also told me I'm like, hey, you know, I can do whatever if I want to be whatever, I can be whatever. So I went to Merrimack before the Marines. There were no hot chicks in class, so I quit going. And I got 4 Fs, right?
Yeah.
After the Marine Corps, I took the same 4 classes at Merrimack. I got 4 A's. And the day of my final for world history, the professor called me out in the hallway. He's like, hey, can I talk to you? And I was like, what did I do? I didn't do anything. It's like, hey, hope you don't mind. I looked up your academic record, because you're the best student in the class. And I didn't know if you just loved history or you're just a good student. And I saw you had me 4 years ago and you got an F. How did you go from having an F to the best student? I was like, oh, the Marine Corps. And he's like, oh, okay, well, that explains it. Go finish your exam.
Wow.
So the Marine Corps, I always knew, like, if I wanted to do something, all you have to do is do it. You know, people are afraid to take a chance, you know, afraid to start a business, afraid to ask the hot girl out. You know, my friends would always be like, dude, how do you always have such beautiful girlfriends? I'm not afraid to go find out.
Yeah.
You know, actually those girls, just for you younger guys, go ask the hot chicks out, because nobody's asking them out because they're afraid.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid to ask the hot chick out.
I watched it happen yesterday. I went into the Chipotle right over here in Kirkwood, sitting there eating my burrito, and you know, there's a group of they're baseball players. They all had like their jerseys on. They're probably in high school,
Right.
and then, you know, a cuter high school girl walks through the line. I watch one of them get up and go talk to her and like ask for a number, and then he gets rejected right in front of all of his friends.
Hey, at least he
I was
asked.
like, man, he went up and
At least he
went up and
asked.
swung the bat.
At least he asked.
Like,
you know,
yeah. But I was like, oh man, that was
good for him
yeah, I
though.
just sat there and watching. I'm like rooting for him.
Yeah,
Like, come on, man.
good for him. Good for him.
Yeah,
Yeah,
awesome.
I saw this quote the other day. I thought was pretty cool. And it was ready, fire, aim. Ready, fire, then aim. Yeah. Like, yeah, go for it, and then you learn after the process.
I mean, I'm not really afraid of anything. You know, there's nothing I haven't done that. I mean, don't get me wrong. I've been scared. Being scared is different than being afraid. You know, I've been scared a lot. Being afraid to do something, though, I mean, I'll try anything. Well, hey,
Yeah.
not gay sex or anything like that, you know, but anything normal that normal people do, I'm not afraid to try it. You know,
Sure.
I'll try some stupid food.
Yeah.
You know, I went on a trip here with Adventure Unknown. We went to Italy and I ate raw squid. It was disgusting,
Yeah.
you know, but I did
You
it.
tried it. Yeah.
Well, actually, I didn't swallow it. I just couldn't chew it up enough to get it down.
yeah.
But I chewed it for a good minute. You know, there's a video floating around somewhere in the group here.
So it's not as good as calamari, fried squid.
No, dude, it was big. It was about this big, and they dared me to do it. And if you dare me to do something and it's not totally unreasonable, I'm going to do it, you know?
Yeah.
So,
That's
Well,
great.
you like to travel. Where's some of your favorite places that you've been?
so I think I told you guys this. I've been to probably more than 40 countries, and I love Italy. Italy's kind of my go-to favorite place, but it's not my favorite place.
Is that why you got married there?
It's one of the reasons we got
Yeah.
married there. I love Italy.
Yeah.
I mean, I can walk around Rome without a map, like the area of Rome where all the stuff is. I know how to navigate where it's at. I don't need a map. I can just go there. Actually, when we went there 3 years ago. We went on a trip around the world, my wife and I. We went to Australia, then Thailand, then Italy. And I was like, hey, come on, we're going to walk around. She's like, how do you know where you're going? Like, how do you know where all these places are? I'm like, I've been here so many times. I know how to get to places. And I have a somewhat good sense of direction, somewhat. You know, I was a lieutenant. I was a captain in the Army. So they always say you can't spell lost without LT. But my favorite place is Thailand. So we went to Thailand. We went to just Bangkok. We were there for 4 days. And I have a friend that lives there. He's a suit maker. So that's the guy I buy my suits from. And he was our tour guide. But dude, the food's awesome. I mean, if you like Thai food, this was the greatest Thai food every day, 3 times a day.
I love Thai.
Yeah, it's so good. Dude, it's so good. It's so freaking good and healthy and fresh. And it wasn't dirty. I thought Thailand was going to be really dirty. It was very clean. Now it's dusty, you know, like dirty in the sense of trash. No, dirty in the sense of like, hey, it needs a good rain to wash away all the dirt.
And dust.
It needs that. But it's not a dirty place, and the people are really nice.
I've heard it's like the land of smiles. I feel like I've heard
everybody's friendly. You get a lot of smiles from lady boys, you know. But it's really a nice place. I wouldn't live there, but I would go there for a month, and you know, I always try to learn how to say thank you in every language every place I visit. I try to learn some words. Usually, thank you because it's appreciated. They're always taken aback.
Yeah.
So, and I eat Thai food a lot here in St. Louis. I go to Pad Thai in South County.
Yeah, I live right by it.
I'm probably there 2 times a week.
Yeah, place is amazing.
we order takeout from there. I mean, probably once, if not once a week, once every 2 weeks.
You remember that place used to be really little?
And they
when it first opened,
it
was where that glass is now.
Yeah.
That was it. It was like 6 tables.
Yep. And now they expanded.
They could expand again even.
Oh, I know. Because I remember like during COVID, I mean, because, you know, like I said, we live right down Tesson from there. And I mean, I remember the crazy wait times. It would be like 2 hours. You know, like we'd like call it in at like 3:30 or 4 o'clock to like pick it up at 7 or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, it was crazy.
No, it's great place. So a little plug for Pad Thai in South County.
Pad Thai.
That place is awesome.
Oh man,
So
I
good.
love it.
Yeah, it's delicious there.
Yeah, I go there all the time. Well, I mean, you're combat vet, pilot, lawyer, you're a car guy as well. What's like what is your like favorite adrenaline rush right now? Would you say it's flying?
Flying's great. Yeah, flying. I mean, flying's, you know, I'm always nervous when I take off and when I land, you know, not nervous, but I get a little adrenaline kick. Those are the 2 times where it's the most dangerous.
Sure. Yeah. When you're
landing, even more so than taking off. That's where a lot of crashes happen on landings. Takeoffs too, if you have engine problems. Luckily, I have a parachute, so as long as I'm above 600 feet, I'm going to live. But I love cars. You mentioned cars. I love cars. I love driving cars. People always ask me, I have 9 or 10 cars. People always ask me, what's your favorite car? And I'm like, whichever car I'm in that day. You know, that's my favorite car that day. So today I drove a Porsche Cayman 718 4.0. Great car.
Sweet.
Great car. Super awesome on the track. It's a great track car. A lot of fun. It's a really nice car. But I have a 1972 Datsun 240Z. You know what a 350 Nissan is? Mm-hmm. This is like the great grandfather of that car.
Okay.
So it was a 2.4 liter V6 or straight 6 car. Do you ever know what a 280 ZX is from the day, or 300 ZX? Mm-hmm. Those are all. So it went 240, 260, 280, 300, 350, 370, and now they just call it Z. Mm-hmm. It's really it would be a 400Z because it's a 4 liter 6-cylinder. So the number equates to the size of the engine. 240 is a 2.4 liter, 260 was a 2.6 liter, 280 was a 2.8, 300,
sure.
Yeah, so on and so forth. So anyway, I just love all cars. I have an old Mustang. I have a 1972, probably my like nicest older car is a 1972 Di Tommaso Pantera, which most people don't even know of. They only made 5,000 of them. It's an Italian car with a Ford 351 engine in it. So it was like an Italian muscle car. So the movie Ford versus Ferrari, when Ford couldn't buy Ferrari, he partnered with this other company and collaborated with them. They put, Ford power plants in the Italian cars. So the car looks like kind of a mix between a Lambo and a Ferrari from the 70s.
Okay.
And it's a muscle car. The engine's in the back. It's rear engine. Huge engine. It's got the same transmission as the Ford GT, like in the movie Ford versus Ferrari. Same transmission. And I've got a NASCAR. I've got Casey Kane's 2006 NASCAR. It should be on the road soon.
That's
I need to
awesome.
call the dude and say, hey, is that thing ready for this weekend? I'm going to a car show. I do a lot of car shows. So I sponsor car shows. I go to car shows. I love cars. If somebody has a cool car, I want to see it. And I can find something about everybody's car that I like, even newer cars. If it's not something special, I'm never going to tell you your car sucks. I'll find something that I think's cool about it.
Yeah.
You know, so I love cars. I have an old Ferrari Testarossa from do you remember Miami Vice?
Pretty cool.
Yeah.
So it's that car. I have the old Ferrari 328, which is like the old Magnum PI.
Uh-huh.
This was a 308, which was a 3-liter V8 engine, 308.
Yep.
Mine's a 328, same car, same body, 3.2-liter V8 engine. So the Testarossa, though, is a 12-cylinder car. So it's loud.
Yeah, I would imagine.
It's real loud. As a matter of fact, I took it to a car show and I had a buddy drive it for me. And he left an hour before I did. And I stood outside when he left and I could hear him like not going anywhere. So he was trying to figure out the transmission because it's different. You know, the reverse is where first would be in an American car.
Okay.
So I could hear him at the end of my driveway for a while. And then I heard him driving down the road. I live off Highway FF out by Eureka. And I could hear him. And then I could hear him. And then I could hear him. And I could hear him. I'm like, dude, that car is so freaking loud. Like he was probably a couple miles away from my house and I could still hear it.
Wow.
Like it's a screamer. It's loud. It's a loud car.
How do you decide what to drive that day?
It just depends. Like
Do you have
today,
them all? I mean, do you have them like all stored somewhere, or do you keep them all at your house?
well, my garage will hold 12 cars. It's only an 8-car garage, but I have 2 2-car lifts. So the cars that are on lifts, those are more of a headache to get down because I have to move 4 cars to get one of them down. But once I do that, I commit like, all right, I'm driving this one and this one this week. You know, I'm going to drive both of them. So like I'm going to a car show in Burns Mill this Saturday. There's a car show for the Special Olympics at the Burns Mill or Burnsville. What is it? Burns Mill Police Department. Burns Mill Police Department puts on for Special Olympics. Some of the cops are actually coming to my house to get a couple of the cars and drive them for me because I'll take 4 cars to it. So I'm going to take the old Ferrari, the Pantera. I have that Porsche GT3 RS, which is a Porsche racing car. It's their track car. And then I'm taking the Datsun 240Z. So I won't let anybody drive the Pantera because it's so hard to drive. I drive it with no shoes on because the pedals are so close.
Really?
Yeah. I won't even wear driving shoes. I take my shoes off. The pedals are really close. So I won't let anybody else drive it because it's dangerous. So I'll have one of the guys drive the old Ferrari. My wife will drive the new Porsche and the other guy will drive the Datsun or whatever for me, or the Mustang, whatever I take. I have an old Mustang I had restored. Cool story on that. I'll tell you real quick.
Yeah.
You can edit it out if this is too
fine.
much.
Not at all. I love it.
So a friend of mine from high school, she's had this Mustang and I've been eyeballing it for years. She just keeps moving and she'll show a picture of the Mustang. And I said, hey, don't ever sell that without calling me. And I don't want you to get screwed on it. So her husband died 10 years ago. And his name was also Jim. He died 10 years ago and she's had this car in her garage as she's moved along for 10 years. It's just sat in a garage. She never was able to really drive it. So I went and looked at it about, 5 months ago. And I said, hey, I'll buy this car. I bought it from her. I had it towed to my friend's shop at Fairway Automotive, Jason Gallagher's shop. We had the car towed there and I was going to give it to my wife. But I wanted it restored. I wanted it to be safe. So, hey, it had drum brakes. Let's put disc brakes on it. Anyway, it just rolled over. Everything, I was like, do this. And they're like, well, this thing. And I'm like, all right. Well, anyway, everything mechanical got replaced. Everything from the horn,
Complete resto model.
all the way back to the gas tank. If it's mechanical, it's brand new. Engine, transmission. I added power steering. I added power brakes. All new modern suspension. The exhaust, fuel lines. Everything's brand new. Everything. The interior, I put a new gauges in it, so they're electronic gauges. Even though it has the old, kind of mechanical look to them, they run off GPS. It needed air conditioning. I'm not going to tell my wife to drive a car that doesn't have AC. So I added that. Anyway, it was a fortune. I spent a fortune on this car. I could have bought probably 5 cars with what I spent on this one car. But it's a cool story. So it was my friend's husband who died and she held on to it. So the day I got the car back, I went over to her house.
Showed her.
No, I took her for a ride in her old husband's car. It was a real quiet ride. She didn't say much. I could tell, it probably took her back. I get emotional even talking about it. But for me, it was the story. You're here's a car. This girl's husband loved it. She loved him enough to hold on to this car. It was hard for her to
Yeah,
let
for
it
10
go.
years.
10 years. And then she finally realized it's not doing any good to this car by having it sit here. So anyway, it's a cool car. I actually like driving it a lot. I wish I would have made it faster because I drive it more than my wife does. I didn't want it to be like super powerful because I didn't want it to be dangerous for her. I had it like, it didn't have shoulder belts, it just had the lap belts. I had them put a shoulder belt in. So, I mean, every safety thing I could do, I did for her, but so anyway, yeah, I love cars.
Yeah. You got quite the collection. That's awesome.
I love cars. Yeah.
What was your first one that you like? Your first like car, like
Car collection?
Yeah, like collector car. You got.
I ordered the new Corvette C8 before it came out. So it was 2020. I was supposed to get the C8 and I got so sick of waiting. I bought a 1972 Corvette. Wasn't a very good purchase. It needed so much work when I got it. I was like, oh, dude, I bought it off the internet. I'm like, I got kind of screwed on this. But anyway, I did some work on it with a friend and he was really knowledgeable. Like this dude knows everything about this car. Like every bolt, he knows like what size it is without having to put a tool on it. He can say, hey, I need a 7/16, or I'm just making that up. Yeah. So if anybody's really into cars, don't make fun of me. We'll just say 1/2 inch bolt.
Yeah.
And I mean, he knows exactly what goes where in that car, every piece of it. He's restored that kind of car multiple times. So he's like an expert on it. So I took it to his house and I would hold the flashlight for him while he helped me do stuff on it. And so it was a 72 Corvette and I sold it to a friend a couple years ago because I was like, I just don't have room for, it was a nice car, but it wasn't super cool. It was cool, not super cool. So I'm trying to keep my collection to cars that will gain value or something you don't see every day.
Yeah.
I took the 240Z out last Friday to a car show in Kirkwood. There's one at the Sonic in Kirkwood every Friday.
Mm-hmm.
People are like, whoa. I was shocked how many people like were really interested in that car. Like, we haven't seen one of these in a long time. And mine's all original. The panels usually they would rust out on those cars. It's all original. Wow. So it got way more attention than I ever expected.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Well, you mentioned you were homeless at 17. What's the story there?
Yeah. So my mom was just kind of not a good person. And I had enough of it, So I'm like, I'm leaving. So I just left and was in my car. And I went and lived with an aunt for a while, and then she got cancer. So I had to like leave her house because she wasn't there, For a while I was driving. She lived up by Northwest Plaza.
Okay.
So that's a long drive to go to Bayless every day.
Yeah.
But my aunt was awesome. She took me in and then she got sick. So I had to leave. And it was the summertime. I was kind of like just going from friend's house to friend's house. And finally I had a friend's mom that said, hey, why don't you live with us? I lived with them for probably 8 months or a year before I actually went in the Marine Corps. So they kind of saved me.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, then also too, your brother. That's an interesting story.
Yeah. So my mom had a kid before I was born, and I always knew about this kid, that she had put up for adoption. So she had a daughter, then she had a son that she put up for adoption. The son, not the daughter. She was getting a divorce, and I guess the story I heard, is my mom's dad said, hey, I'm taking care of one of your kids. I'm not taking care of two of them. So back in the day, they would send you away to have a kid so that nobody knew you were having this kid. So she had a kid in Illinois. She put it up for adoption through some Catholic church or whatever. I always knew this person existed, and she tried to find them, but it was a closed adoption. So back in the day, you couldn't find these people. So my mom died, 2008. She had cancer and died. And she always said, like, hey, don't forget, like, you have a brother out there, go find him. I was like, all right. So I joined 23andMe. Like, hey, if I'm adopted, I'm going to go find my people by doing 23andMe or Ancestry or something. So I did 23andMe. A year goes by, nothing happens. I remember it was winter time. It was a Monday. It was a snow day. My ex-wife used to be a teacher. And we were sitting at home and I got an email. It said, you have a 23andMe match. Well, it could have been like a third cousin. I had a lot of those people I'll never meet in some other country. And it's like, your brother. And I was like, oh shit.
There he is.
And I said, hey, I found my brother. My ex-wife's like, I didn't even know you had a brother. And I said, well, I did. I just didn't know who he was. And I was always nervous. Like, is this dude going to be like a convict? Is he going to be a total piece of shit? I don't have time for that. I don't have time for people like that in my life. I don't let people in my space that are like that at all. you're a piece of shit. You're not in my life. I don't care if you're my sister or whatever. You're not in my life. So I was real nervous. Anyway, I said, hey, call me. Here's my number. I remember my ex-wife was like, oh, you might be pressuring him. I'm like, oh, shut up. You know, I just want to talk to this dude. I'm sure he has questions. I have questions. So when he called me, I was like, are you my brother? Does it say on my mom's side or my dad's side? Like, I don't know. Did my dad like knock up some chick and this isn't the guy I'm looking for? Or is this the guy that I'm looking for that my mom had? And he's like, it says maternally we're related. I said, oh, I've been looking for you. And I said, you know, we talked and, you know, I looked him up on Facebook to see what he looked like. And he looked pretty normal. He's like a decent looking guy. Looked like he had his act together. I was like, all right, I want to meet him. So it was a Monday. I said, hey, what are you doing Wednesday? So I met him in Kirkwood. Not at Joey B's. What's that other one called?
Billy G's?
Billy G's. Yeah, Billy G's. We met at Billy G's. We're there for like 3 hours. I'm like, wow, this is my brother. He's like 3 or 4 years older than me. So at the time he was working as a manager of a restaurant. And and that Saturday I introduced him to my then wife, my ex-wife, and my friends. We all went out to dinner. And
okay, it's my brother.
Yeah, hey, here's Todd, my brother. You know, today's Todd's birthday, as a matter of fact.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he's 57. He's old.
Happy birthday, Todd.
Happy birthday,
You're
Todd.
old, Todd.
You wouldn't guess he's 57. He looks young.
He looks younger. Fuck him. And I got gray hair. He doesn't. I thought I had blonde hair until about 2 years ago. My wife's like, you know, your hair's gray. And I'm like, no, I got blonde hair and blue eyes. She showed me a picture of the top of my head. And I was like, oh, I thought it was blonde.
Yeah.
Look blonde. This looks blonde to me up here. It's not blonde. One time I used Just for Men. And I had a buddy from out of town over. And he's a lawyer buddy. He's the one that got me into flying, actually. His name's Jacob. I come out, I'm dressed, my hair is dry, and he's like, whoa, what did you do to your hair? And I'm like, what do you mean? He goes, dude, what did you just do? So anyway, I don't use Just for Men anymore. Yeah. Fuck that shit.
Yeah.
Just go natural. I keep it short.
Yep, I'm the same way.
Keep it short.
I recently just committed to the shaving, and I saw we got family photos, you know, probably a month or two ago, or probably 2 months ago now. And I'm like, I just couldn't, because I didn't realize that how much hair I had lost in the back of my head.
Yeah, let me see it. Yeah, you got some hair loss back there. You know, my wife can help
The
you.
old cul-de-sac.
My wife can help you. She has a med spa. She can give you hair PRP and it will help you.
Really?
Yes.
Okay,
You
let's
should
talk.
call her. Yeah.
Let's talk about this.
She owns, I'll just give her a plug, Bellissimo Spa and Wellness. It's in Crestwood. It's in my old office where I
Okay.
first started.
Yeah.
But she can do hair PRP for you.
All right, let's try.
Yeah.
I'll try.
No,
it.
it'll help
Yeah,
you. I
all right.
promise you. You'll see a
But
difference.
recently, just I was like, all right, fuck it, because I saw these pictures and I just the pictures look great. You know, kids look great. Gina looks great. My wife looks great.
And then you saw your bald
And
spot.
I like catch the side of my head and I just see this like cul-de-sac missing. I'm like, oh god.
Yeah, don't be that guy.
Yeah. Well, I don't want to be. I was like, if I'm gonna be bald, if I'm gonna be bald, I'm just gonna take it all off.
Yeah.
And just commit to the.
You've got enough hair. She can give you hair PRP and it'll come back.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm
Yeah.
game.
She'll show you some before and after pictures and you'll be like, oh shit.
All right.
Yeah.
That's-
And then you could have her on your podcast and
hell yeah.
you can ask her questions about how she saves people's hair.
Yeah.
Huh?
No, it's perfect.
Yeah.
I'm game. I need it.
Yeah.
So,
I need to stop wearing a hat. I got really thick hair, a lot of it.
hey,
It started
Yeah,
turning
fuck
gray.
you.
It started
yeah,
turning.
fuck you.
Starting,
Exactly.
starting to turn gray.
This guy sucks.
Yeah, I know.
It's getting gray.
It's getting gray.
Whatever.
There's some gray spots in
Yeah,
there.
you're right.
You're a total asshole.
Yeah, fuck you with your beautiful head of hair and your 6'3".
You know, if I had hair that good, I would never wear a hat.
yeah,
I know. I should probably stop. My barber doesn't like it that I'm always wearing hats. She goes, "Why don't you just gel?"
Dude,
your
you have
hair?"
great hair.
yeah,
Seriously. No homo, but you have great
It's
hair.
great
Appreciate
hair.
that.
Yeah, great hair, 6'3", all these things that I wish I had.
Fuck you, Pat. Zach, this guy sucks.
I know he does. I mean, you want to start? You want to be my
Yeah,
podcast
fuck
partner?
him.
It's the new Zach and Jim show.
The Zach
Yeah.
and Jim show. Pat's getting the
I've been
boot. He's too
demoted.
handsome.
Fuck, if he didn't wear a hat, he'd be too busy dating chicks because he had all his beautiful hair.
Right.
Hey, dating pool. Let's go. Let's see what's happening.
Oh, dude, the dating pool.
Oh.
Real quick, when I got divorced, I won't go into the details of that. But the day that I realized I wasn't going to be married anymore, I reached out to my now wife and asked her if she had any hot friends that were single. She's like, "You're married." I'm like, "I'm getting divorced." She's like, "Oh, so am I." So anyway, we didn't date right away. We waited till she was out of her marital home. And, cause that would be weird dating somebody that's still, even though they're going through divorce, they're still at their house. So she got a rental house or whatever. But anyway, before we actually dated, you know, we had met up as friends a few times, but never kissed or anything like that. But I got on Match.com again. Oh my God, it was horrible, dude. Hey, here's a newsflash. If you're single and you're a lady, post some like decent pictures of yourself. It was so bad. I took screenshots. I'm like, my life sucks. Like one chick had boobs down to her belly button, and her main profile picture was her with boob sweat. Like she had just worked out, and I'm not talking about like a walk around the block. Like it looked like she had sat in a sauna for 30 minutes. Her shirt was soaking wet with her boob sweat all down here. There were transvestites on there. Like you're not a lady looking for a man. You're a boy looking for a man.
Yeah.
It was so awkward. I'm like, I mean, I sat with like friends that were girls, and I'm like, what is this? Like, this is the real life now. Yeah. Like, I don't know what happened in the last 8 years, but this sucks.
Well, it's crazy what like dating has become for like the younger generation with all the dating apps like
right.
Tinder and and what are the other ones? Tinder and
Hinge. I mean, I've
Plenty of Fish was one of the ones back in the day.
I was on Bumble and Tinder for a month after Melissa and I separated. That was it. And I got like, she even helped me with my profile, and we're going through this. We're laughing at some of the shit that's on there.
Dude, it was horrible.
It's terrible.
It was horrible.
I haven't been on them since. It
was depressing. Bad. I was like, if this is my life. I mean, I started going like, I have an airplane. Yeah. Let me look for chicks in Nashville. There's got to be some decent looking chicks in Nashville. There were. But dude, it was horrible. I was like, this is depressing.
Dating is tough. Yeah, it's not.
They don't go out to bars like they used to,
right?
You know, to meet people.
Me and my wife have been together since high school.
You're lucky. Yeah, stay with her no matter what, because it's not good out there.
Yeah, well, I found a good one, but I remember when we were freshmen or sophomore in college, and you know, we had a lot of friends that were on Tinder and stuff, and we were like, let's just download it and both get on it, and let's just to fuck
see what's out
there. What happens, you know? And within like 2 hours, I had like two of my friends text me like, dude, Gina's on Tinder. Just to let you know. I wanted to let you know. Just letting you know, like she's on there. I saw her. You know, I didn't swipe on her or anything, but I just want to let you know. And it was like, and so we deleted it very quickly. But
right.
It was like a fun thing to like, all right, let me just see what this is. And
dude, it's horrible. If you got on there now, I'm sure it's even worse. This is 4 years ago.
Yeah.
I couldn't imagine how bad it is. It was bad. Like really bad. I was even like, okay, I don't want to date a girl this young, but let me keep going and see where it gets better.
Yeah.
It got better around 30 to 22. Yeah. But 30 to 50 was just stupid. Really? I was like, what? I guess they're all married.
Yeah.
You know? But they're not. They're just not on that thing, you know?
Yeah.
It was bad. It was real bad. For all of you people out there that are single and on online dating, go to bars and meet somebody.
Yeah, the old-fashioned way.
I guess because coffee shops are like the new bars.
I could see that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That'd be a good place.
Yeah, coffee shops.
Wait, where was that restaurant you were at yesterday in Kirkwood?
Oh, Chipotle.
Chipotle is apparently the new coffee shop.
Chipotle for high school kids.
Yeah. Shout out to that little high school kid. Yeah, keep your game up, brother. It'll pay off.
Keep shooting your shots, buddy.
Keep swinging the bat.
You can get told no 100 times, but it only takes once.
Right.
Exactly.
No, I just watched him walk over there and, hey, you know, I saw you and I thought you were really cute. Can I get your number? She's like, I have a boyfriend. And I was like rooting for him, like, you know, like I watched it. I'm sitting there just watching. I seen they're all like at the table.
His friends probably laughed at him, but they wouldn't have the balls to go do it
for
themselves.
sure. They were all laughing at him when he walked back to the table, but it was just like it was just funny.
She should have at least given him a fake number.
Yeah, like,
you know, throw him a lifeline, make him look good.
Right.
Well,
911, give me a call.
Yeah. What I always thought was like when I was in pro ball, got like towards the end of my career is when Tinder became a thing, and all these guys would be on Tinder, and I'm just like, they're like, just look in the stands.
Right.
Just
hey, you're a professional athlete. Go look in the stands.
Pull this ball trick. It worked for me. It was great.
Would you put your phone number on the ball?
So, okay, there's a process to this. So I would have the team autograph a baseball. And there's always kids up there asking for baseballs. Well, what I would do is I would take another baseball, and on it I would write, hey, this is number 32. I noticed you noticing me, and I just want to give you notice that I noticed too. Here's my number. What are you doing after the game? And I would figure out what girl I wanted to send it to, and then I would find the cutest little kid that was asking for autographs. And
You'd say, hey, kid, here's this ball. Go give that girl that ball.
I was like, all right, I've got this team autograph baseball for you, but you have to deliver this baseball to that girl. If you get it to the right person, come back, and I will give you this baseball.
Oh, good. You were smart. You made him.
It's perfect.
You didn't pay him till he did his job.
Exactly.
What was the success rate of that?
10 for 10.
10 for 10. Good for you.
Yeah.
I'm just kind of disappointed it's only 10.
Well, that was one season.
Wow.
Yeah.
Good for you.
Yeah, that was one season.
Good for you.
So no, it was a good time. We had a lot of fun. But like that's the thing was like honestly, so I would always and then I would walk in because I was a reliever. I would go to the locker room.
Sounds to me you were more of a closer.
Well, yeah. So so I'd go into the locker room and usually around the third or fourth inning, and I'd have a text message, and I'd just be like, hey, I see, and I'd always ask girls that were in with groups of friends, and I said, hey, I see you're with a group of your friends. Tell your friends to look at the media guide and decide which guys she wants me to bring with me.
It's like a menu.
Yeah. And so
make your selection. I'll bring them with me.
Right. So then I would, next thing you know, I'd get back at the end of the game and I'd have a text message with a list of names. And I'd go up to these guys afterwards. I said, hey, you, and you are coming with me. We're going here after the game. They're like, where are we going? I go,
Trust me.
we're good. Trust me. Let's
Hopefully
go.
the girls were halfway decent. You know, they weren't.
I mean, no, they were all pretty good.
Yeah.
So.
No, I didn't mean the girl you picked. I meant the girls for your buddies.
Oh, absolutely. They were all happy.
Yeah. Okay, good.
It was a great wingman.
Good.
Great wingman for them. So.
Did somebody teach you this trick?
No, I was just
no
like,
veteran was like, hey,
Yeah.
No.
I notice you.
Hey, Pat, here's how you do this.
No, I forgot where I saw that line or heard that line, but I heard it from somewhere, and I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna try that shit.
Yeah.
You know, it's hot, like
Yeah.
but guys in baseball pants, women. It's like yoga pants for.
And then
for
when you meet the
guys.
chicks, you're like, you had me at hello.
Yeah.
Damn, that's hilarious.
But yeah, so that was, but like I said, I've been on those apps for all of a month in my entire life,
dude, it's
and we'll never get back on.
Oh, man.
Terrible.
Yeah.
I shouldn't. Hope I never have to need. Never
yeah,
need it.
no, yep.
So-
Hope you never do.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, because it's tough out there.
Sure.
So
Well, so what?
Sorry, I've screwed up the total
No,
flow.
No, this is
I love
great.
it. No, it's great. That's what we do in this. I mean, we
Yeah.
totally go off on tangents and stuff, but I love it. But what ultimately made you so when you opened up the law firm in the middle of COVID, like what it was because you wanted to leave the other job, right?
Yeah, it was also like, yeah,
But you said it was.
I kind of alluded. It was perfect time
Why was
because somebody would be like, hey, how's my case going? Well, the courts are closed. The insurance companies are closed.
that?
Nothing's happening. Gave me a chance to get everything set up.
Okay.
So I was able to get my office set up. I mean, I had to buy furniture online without seeing it.
Yeah.
But I was able to get furniture. I was able to get computers, internet, all the things, insurance.
Yeah.
All the files transferred from my old firm to my new firm. That was a whole task. 120 clients. Got to get all their stuff from their files and put them into your files, and they weren't the same like program. So we couldn't just move them. You had to like download everything, put it in the appropriate part of the file. So that took a while. That took months to do, Yeah. And it was a good thing. Like if I did that in the middle of normal operations,
While you're
people
trying to do
probably
other
would have been
things.
pissed. Like,
Yeah.
hey, why is this taking so long? Why did I go with you? I could have just stayed wherever I was at and I'd be done already. I didn't have that pressure.
Yeah.
So it was nice.
That
Yeah.
is
Makes
nice.
sense. So I mean, you've been doing the injury. So are you specifically injury law?
Only
Only injury law.
Got it. Injury. Avery injury law.
Got it.
People call me and ask me about stuff for businesses. I'm like, hey man, it's Avery injury law.
Yeah.
It's not Avery corporate law, Avery injury law. So we do injuries like dog bites, car crashes, a lot of car crashes, semi-truck cases. I have a lot of those. Just turned down a $1.5 million offer on a semi-truck case the other day because we think it's worth, $12 million. So,
Yeah.
it's hard to say no to 1.5, but when you know it's not the right number, it's
Right,
real
for sure.
easy. And my client was like, dude, I've never felt so good about turning down $1.5 million, but I feel great.
Yeah.
Mhm.
They actually sent me cookies yesterday. Yeah. My wife's going to hear this and be pissed now, but because she eats healthy.
Yeah.
And,
Bodybuilder, I figured.
yeah. Yeah. So But yeah, it's only injury stuff. I don't do medical malpractice, but I can always tell my friends or people that call me who I think does a good job. I actually have a medical malpractice case myself. I have a depot for my own case coming up this week.
Oh,
Can't talk about that too much.
cool.
But I got hurt because of a surgeon's negligence. That's about all I'll say about that. Yeah.
Nice.
So
Well, do you have a case? You know, I don't know how much you can talk about it, but do you have a case, you know, throughout your career that really sticks out to you?
probably like my first $1 million case sticks out. You know, it's the first case I got $1 million was my first year as a lawyer. Settled the case for $1 million. I meet all my clients in person. I don't like to not meet a client. I want to know their story. It makes me a little bit different than most lawyers. Most lawyers will have their intake person call, get the information. You may never even see the person. I like to meet every client personally because I have to tell their story. And I either tell the story to a jury or to an adjuster, but probably a jury one day. So I want to know where you live. I want to know when I go to your house, I learn about you. I ask questions. I can't tell your story if I don't know where you met your husband, you know? So I have a friend that's a lawyer and I was going to help him on a case. I said, hey, I'll represent the husband. You represent the wife. I said, hey, when's the last time you were at their house? And he's like, I've never been to their house. I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, oh, they're coming here. Dude, you got to go to their house. So anyway, we went to their house. He brings in a box, file box, to take notes and ask questions. He's got the whole file for the case. The trial's coming up in like 2 months. I don't bring anything, not a pad of paper, nothing. I have the husband take me around their farm on their side-by-side, drive me around. I learn all the stuff that they don't have as many horses as they used to. They only have 2. They used to have a bunch of them. They used to show horses. They quit doing that because it's too much work because the wife's hurt. The husband has to pick up the slack. They used to raise cattle, show dogs, all these things that this guy didn't even know about. They met Cruz and Lindbergh.
Yeah.
You know, they went to different high schools. They were married, got divorced and got remarried again because they liked each other so much. So that wasn't even my client. But when we were at the house, we were talking to the wife, and I can't say her name, but I was asking her some tough questions. And then I started talking to her daughter, asking the daughter questions, and the daughter started crying. And the mom said, I told you Jim asks really tough questions. And I said, well, I get it. And the client, the mom, said, Jim, you're the only one here that gets me. Now, that's a really bad feeling when it's not your client. It's my friend's client. And she's telling me that I'm the only one that understands her. He's too busy writing down stuff. I'm learning her. I'm knowing about her. He's not getting into the weeds about her story. Her story isn't her medical bill. It's not my client's story. The story's not about their medical bills or what treatment they had. The story's about what's taken from them. What can they not do that they used to be able to do? So when I say I really try to make personal injuries personal, that's my tagline. I really want to know your story. I come to your house, I ask you questions, I look at your pictures. That all tells a story about you as a human. So I don't do things the way a lot of lawyers do. A lot of lawyers don't even know their clients, you know? Now, could I tell you every client's name? Nope. If I saw them, I would know that they're my client. You know, I have probably 350 clients at any given time. But I meet every one of them personally. If I'm out of town, I meet them when I get home. You know, I might get the ball rolling, and then when I get home, I want to know their story. So, but the first case I ever had that was $1 million case was a little girl that got injured on a side-by-side with her uncle. And I met her mom at the Bread Co. in Fenton. I was actually there yesterday. I had lunch with a friend. And I forgot all about it until I was leaving. I was like, hey, this is where I signed up my first $1 million case was at this Bread Co. I met the client there, the mom. And that client, that little girl, she was probably 8 or 9 at the time. She graduated high school this year.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah. She had a really bad injury on her arm. She had multiple surgeries. But it was cool. Like I got to see her grow up on Facebook. You know, she never met me. The little girl never met me, but she has life-changing money. And luckily she has a mom that was responsible and really took my advice on how to save this money and make it work for her in the future. So the girl one day would be multimillionaire.
Amazing.
That's awesome.
So she has life-changing money.
Love that.
Well, what is it that making or knowing their story or understanding their story, what makes that so important? And then like, where does that empathy come from for you?
Well, I actually care about people. I think that's where it comes from. Like yeah, I make great money and stuff like that, but I don't do this for the money.
Mm.
The money is part of it, but I don't do it for the money. I do it for the person. I actually care about people. I don't care about the money. I'll always make more. I don't ever get in fights with people over money. It's like, hey, here, whatever. I'm not fighting with you over money. I can make more money. But I learned from a mentor of mine, like, the story is not the money. The story is their life, how it's been changed, how somebody's bad actions changed this person's life forever. So the surgeon that hurt me and my right arm's partially paralyzed, there's a lot of things I can't do that I used to do. I used to cycle. I can't cycle it. I cycled 1,000 miles the summer before my car crash that resulted in a surgery. There's a lot of things. I used to work on cars. I can't work on cars anymore. That's part of the reason I have lifts, so I could work on them. I even have the oil change thing that goes with them that's never been used. So I don't have any strength up there. So if it's above my head, I can't do anything with it. So it's the story. I do workers' compensation for free for first responders. I probably gave away $500,000 of legal service last year that I could have made money on that I did for free. I feel like if you're protecting my community, I don't need to make money off your back. You're providing me a service, my family a service, my community a service. I don't need to make money off that. So it probably pisses off a lot of lawyers because they make money off of it and I don't. And people, if you're a first responder, don't call those other guys, call me. I used to be in charge of work comp for the state of Missouri. I'm happy to do your case for free. My parents were both cops. So, and being a military guy is kind of the same line of work. But I care about people. The empathy comes, I don't know. I care about people, care about animals. I love dogs. I'm a dog person. I'm an animal lover. But I don't need all the money in the world. I don't have to have a $20 million house. I'm happy with where I live. I live in a beautiful home. I have good stuff. I don't have to have everything. I want to help people. When I die one day, because we're all going to die, and that's part of the reason I do all the stuff I do, because I'm like, hey, I got one life. I drive cars because I have one life. I'm going to enjoy all the stuff I have. I don't have kids. I don't have anybody to leave a bunch of stuff to. I'll probably donate it to charities and a little bit to nephews and nieces and stuff. But when I leave this earth, because we're all going to leave it one day, I want people to be like, that's a good dude. Like, people think about Jack Buck. Like, that's the dude I think that most people felt like was the most beloved St. Louis. And I'm not saying I'm ever going to be on his level, but you'll never meet people that said Jack Buck was a cocksucker or an asshole. Nobody ever says that about him. Everybody talks about how great and kind he was and how he would stop and spend time and talk with you, even though you didn't matter. Well, guess what? They did matter, Everybody matters. So when I'm out at car shows, dude, and people know me at car shows. I just went to one Sunday and pulling in, people are like, hey, Jim, hey, I don't know who they all are, but I'm going to stop and talk to them. If they want to talk about cars, I want to talk about cars. I want them to show me their car. It might not be a $300,000 car. It might be a $10,000 car, but I want them to talk to me about their car because I care. I want to know about it. It's their pride and their joy. I want to know about it. So I just feel like if you're a good person and you care about people, you're going to be successful in your business. If you treat people like shit and you don't care about them, clients, they're going to know that. They're going to know that you don't care. They're not going to call you. I get most of my referrals come from former clients. Most of my referrals. And I learned a long time ago, I don't need to advertise on TV. I'm bigger than where the firm was I left. I'm bigger at this point than they were at the same point in their careers. Because I treat people right. You do that, people will love you. They know that you care about them. I care about all my clients. If I go to trial, I'll invite my clients to come to my house the morning before, the Sunday before, and I'll make breakfast with them. And I'll talk to them and I'll make sure they don't have any worry. I'll go eat dinner with them several times before a trial. Sometimes at their house, sometimes we'll go out to eat. I become friends with my clients. And, I've been invited to clients' weddings. I've been invited to clients' funerals. Families know that, hey, Jim's actually friends with this lady that died. We need to let him know that she died. I'll send flowers and go to the funeral. I just I'm just a real person, some people probably think I'm fancier than I am. I'm flashy. I'm not. You know, I might wear a Rolex, but my pants came from Costco. You know, my shoes came from Amazon. Just a regular dude. I just care about people. I like people. You know, it's why I do what I do.
Got some cool cars.
Yeah.
And I got cool cars.
Yeah.
But I want to see your car. Even if it's
Yeah.
not as cool as you might think, I still want to see it, you know?
Yeah.
I want you to tell me about it. If that's what your pride and joy is, I want you to tell me about it, you know?
Absolutely.
And it's not that I don't care. I want to hear about it because I care.
Well,
Yeah.
that's definitely a different approach than, you know, what you hear about most lawyers. So it's pretty awesome. So,
Yeah.
I mean, and on that same breath, I mean, because you hear all the way people talk about politicians and everything like that, would you say most politicians are that way? Or, I mean, because I mean, you're a public servant at that point, but you always hear they're like in there serving their best interest. I mean, would you think that that's true, or do they have a lot of the same?
So when I went in the Missouri legislature, I used to think, hey, if you have a good idea, and we needed 83 people because there's 162 or whatever, so that would be the majority. If you can get, you know, 50% plus one and a good idea, you can pass a good bill. And I learned real quick that's not what it was about. It was about what donor is behind this bill. So, you know, I don't think most politicians are doing, I think they go in with really good intentions and then they get kind of swept into, this is what leadership wants. This is how this works. This company donated a bunch of money, so we have to help them out. Instead of, hey, we need to help people out,
Mhm.
you know? So you may or may not know, but I'm considering, I haven't made any formal announcement, I'm considering running for state senate in Jefferson County. And if I go, I want to fund my own campaign and raise money just for my friends. No political action committee, no corporations, just straight
No ties.
people.
Yeah.
So when leadership is like, hey, we need this bill for this donor, I'm going to be like, I don't need this bill for that donor.
Mhm.
I want people to know that I'm there for them, going there for them, to fight for them. Here's an example. The governor is getting ready to call the legislature back in session next week to pass a bill for the sports teams, right? How about tax relief for us first
Mhm.
before we start passing tax relief for the Chiefs? I don't
Right.
think the Chiefs need tax relief.
Right.
Yeah.
Does their stadium suck? No. Is it the most awesome stadium? No. Guess what? Their fan base is in Kansas City. If they want to go to Kansas, hey, good luck. You know, look at Stan Kroenke in LA. It's not working out so well for
No.
them, you know? And we're the biggest XFL or UFL
Yeah.
team in the league still. Like, we're a football town and we're a sports town. We'll support our teams. But we don't need to give tax relief for the sports team before we give tax relief to the people.
Right.
You know, like, hey, Missouri has a lot of Republicans, but we're not growing like other Republican states like Texas, Tennessee, Florida. You know, if you go to Nashville, there's cranes everywhere. They're building everywhere. It's booming. We don't even have any cranes around.
No, we got vacant office buildings.
Buildings
Everyone
everywhere.
wants to
Yeah,
be like-
vacant. The joke in Tennessee is the state bird of Nashville. You know, it's not a state bird, but state bird of Nashville is the crane,
Mhm.
because cranes are everywhere.
Yeah.
Why is Missouri not growing like these? We're stagnant. I don't think Missouri is a growing state. So if I run, and I'm probably going to run, but I haven't made it official yet, I'm just sick of it, dude. I'm sick of people going up there and doing stuff for special interest groups. I don't care. I want to come home every night. I don't want to be in Jeff City. I want to be at home with my wife. I have an airplane so I can come home every day. So I'm just sick of a lot of the politicians. Now, listen, there's a lot of people that go up there with great intentions, and there's a lot of great people up there that are trying to do the right thing. But the majority of people get sucked in, the money, the power. When I was a representative, I hated when people would be like, oh, hey, Representative Avery. I'm like, hey, this is Jim, man. I'm just Jim. Just a dude, just like you. Nobody better. You know, yeah, I'm a representative, but when I'm done, I'm just Jim again. So just call me Jim. You're not special. You know, these guys all forget that. They go up there, they get big heads. They think they have all this power. They have some power, but when they're done, they're just the person again, you know?
Then you amplify that on the national level.
Oh, man,
Jeez,
it's
I
way worse.
couldn't
Yeah,
even-
you couldn't pay me to go to Congress.
Yeah.
It would suck.
Yeah.
It's dirty.
couldn't imagine.
But unfortunately, it's the best system in the world,
Mhm.
you know?
Yeah. True.
It's not a great system, but it's the best system.
Right.
You know, it can be better. You know, if people just, for one, they don't pay anything in the Missouri House or Missouri Senate. I think they get like 40 grand a year.
No shit.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's hard to have a second job, you
Yeah.
know? So if you're not already rich, you're going to get people that really, not saying that there's not some great quality people there. There are some really good people there, but there's also a lot of people there who are just sheep and will do whatever leadership tells them. They're afraid.
Mhm.
They're afraid. Don't be afraid, you know? Sorry, I wasn't brought here to support this special interest group. I was brought here to represent the people of my district, and they want tax relief, or they want to get rid of personal property tax.
Yeah.
We don't need
Oh,
that.
God damn.
Yeah, let's get rid of that.
Yeah.
Like, why are we giving money for stadiums before we're giving personal property tax relief? Governor Kehoe, if you hear this, I'm coming, but not officially yet. They don't want me there. They don't want me there because I won't be controlled.
Yeah.
And it's very freeing to know that I can do this without special interest group money.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sure.
I'll have no affiliation with any leadership. I'm just going to go filibuster every bad bill out there.
Love it.
You know, we already have too many bills passed every year anyway. There's so many stupid bills. But anyway, I got off topic.
No, that's
No, I
awesome.
love it.
Yeah, that's great.
Well, Jim, this has been amazing having you in
Yeah.
here. I had not met you before today, and I feel like I really got to know you today, and this was a pleasure getting to know you. So
Thanks. I appreciate you guys having me here.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. We do end the show the same way every time. So
Play a little game.
Sure.
Call it the tombstone game.
Okay.
All right, here lies Jim. What's it say on your tombstone?
Here lies Jim, a good motherfucker.
There we go.
I love it. I love it.
That's what the MF stands for, right? And the
JMFA.
Yeah.
Well, it's my Army nickname. It's
Okay.
Jim motherfucking Avery.
Okay.
I didn't create it. Some Army buddies would always call me that in Afghanistan, and it just kind of stuck.
That's
Jim
awesome.
Motherfucking Avery.
And it's just kind of an attitude,
Yeah.
you know? So I'm like, hey, man, JMFA. You know?
I love it. That's awesome.
I'm not worried about you. I'm
Yeah.
JMFA.
That's
you
awesome.
know?
Hell yeah.
So
Sweet.
Awesome. Well, thank you to everybody that tuned into the show. If you could click that subscribe button, that would help us out a ton. We do have a goal to get to 500 subscribers before the end of the year. So if you got anything out of the show and you enjoyed it, please share it with a friend. That would help us out a ton. Click that like button as well. Comment what you thought below, and we'll see you next time.